Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Have you ever achieved something that you thought would finally make you happy, only to discover the feeling didn't last? We spend so much of our lives chasing the next goal, the next promotion, the next milestone, believing that that's where fulfillment lies. And yet for many of us, once the excitement fades, we're left asking, is this really all there is? Today's guest knows that feeling all too well. Bracha Goetz is a Harvard-educated author whose pursuit of success masked a much deeper struggle with bulimia and an overwhelming sense of emptiness. Her journey from searching for happiness and achievement to discovering lasting fulfillment has inspired millions through her writing and her message of gratitude, purpose, and authentic living. So today we're exploring a question that affects every one of us. What truly nourishes the soul? And what does authentic achievement really look like? Bracha, it's such a delight to welcome you to Authentic Achievements. Help it.
That was such a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you. Now, I'm so excited to have you here, Bracha. I mean, you've got over 40 books. And your latest one, My Special Body, I don't even know where to get started. So why don't you bring your journey to life a little bit for us?
Okay. I would say I began searching for what is the purpose to life at about age 12. I just think there was an expanded consciousness at that age, you know, when the body starts changing, adolescence. And I just wondered, what are we all here for? What are we supposed to be doing? So that's when it began. And I actually began my diary then. I think I had just finished reading the Diary of Anne Frank, and I started my own. Eventually, that became the only book that I wrote for adults. It's my memoir, where I incorporated my diary entries, which later I called a journal, letters home. So you can actually see me developing the eating disordered behavior, the food addictions that I had, and the healing process. It's kind of like a documentary, a psychological documentary that you come along with me and you experience the frantic binges that I was on, and you actually go through it, and then you go through the healing process with me as well. When I finally discovered what does bring fulfillment in life, what does nourish the soul. And I've spent the rest of my life sharing that with everybody, and especially sharing it with children, so that from the beginning of life, children could know what brings true happiness, what brings fulfillment.
Amazing. I love that you're actually taking what you learned as an adult and taking it back to the children. Yeah, something really close to my heart, because we do all the hard work as adults to unpick the thinking that might not be serving us, to kind of question, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? So I love your point. Like, what is the purpose? What is going on here? And yet we probably really have been questioning it since we were children. We just didn't have the words. And so through your books, you're giving children and the adults that look after them the words to start to unravel some of that thinking. Would that be fair?
Yeah, exactly. And the way we learn things best is in a joyful way. I learned that research shows it takes 400 repetitions to break a bad habit, to start a new good habit. But if we do it in a joyful, playful way, we can take on a new habit in 10 to 20 repetitions. We form new synapses in the brain in 10 to 20 joyful repetitions. So that's the way to make changes joyfully. That's why children's books are an extremely effective way to actually rewire our brains joyfully. And we don't even notice it's happening, but we can incorporate wonderful new habits early on in life through reading joyful children's books that can even explain deep and complex in a simple way.
I love that, and I've seen the impact myself. You know, I've got a little girl who's 9, and we'd get through most of life through stories. You know, when things become complicated, like she had some fallouts recently with friends, so I wrote her a story about the friendship tree, so she could understand that some of the leaves, and they come and go, and some of your roots, and they're there forever. But it was just trying to help in a joyful way deal with something that actually can be challenging, can't it? You know, we struggle with these challenges as adults, and yet as children we don't have the vocabulary to be able to put into words what's going on for us. So the joy of stories not only brings you joy, but it allows you to work through really complex emotions for children, doesn't it? By seeing somebody else go through it in the story and how they learned around it. Is that sort of the kind of ethos that you're working through your books?
Yes, and I want to encourage you to publish this book. This idea that you just described about the tree is so beautiful, and children go through so much with friends early on in life, and I love it. I've never heard that before, the metaphor of the tree and the leaves that come and go, but the roots are always there. This is really beautiful. And I tell people when I give presentations a lot, people ask me about writing books. I say many people walk around with books in their head for 20 years, and it only takes 20 minutes to get it down on paper. So it takes 20 years and 20 minutes to write a book. You walk around with the idea, but if you just write it down, in 20 minutes, you have the draft of the book. Then you work on it, you edit it, you make it better, but get it down on paper and share it. I think you have a gem there for a beautiful book. I really mean it. That touched me. It's beautiful, and it can help other children going through this. And preteens especially go through all these issues with friends and discovering who they are and their self-esteem plummeting when someone rejects them. It's a beautiful concept and so needed. Yeah.
Bless you. Thank you. That's so kind. I must admit, I did write my first ever children's book in December of last year and published it, which was about grief. So wrote it. It actually was never supposed to be a book. It was a story I wrote for my daughter.
Wonderful.
When it was the anniversary of my dad's death, the first year that he died, and her counsellor read it and said, "You need to get it published." So you're right. Sometimes we have these things in our head, and I was like, actually, it's a very personal story about my daughter and her teddies. I didn't think it would go anywhere. So I'm only adding that to what you were sharing, which is we do walk around. We have these things in our head. We have these stories. And we should just put them down, shouldn't we? Put them down and trust that we've been given them because they're a gift to share, not because they're... I think I would love to your thoughts on this. We often hold ourselves back, don't we? Because we think, well, it might not be good enough, or how do I dare get to say I'm a writer? What gives me the right? Did you go through that before you got started?
This is a very important subject. Having a playful attitude throughout is what sustains a writer. If you get too serious about it, if your ego is too involved, you get burnt out really quickly. So that's the really important thing. And it's really, again, it goes back to the secret to happiness. It's when we work from a wellspring of gratitude, it completely changes what we're doing. And the well doesn't run dry. It's an infinite well. So this is how it goes. When you publish a book, many people think that's the end of the story. My book is published. It's the beginning. It's really the beginning of you getting to share with the world the important message in your book. If you have this gift to bring to the world, publishing your book is step one. Then you have the rest of your life to share this book with the world as much as you want, or not at all. It's your choice. But nobody will know about your book unless you share it. And that's what people don't realize. People think, okay, now I published my book, now everybody's going to get my book. And that's not how it goes. But there also are an infinite amount of ways that you can share your book with the world. And you can get completely drained trying to do all those different things that you could possibly do. So you experiment, you play around with different ways to let people know about your book, and you find those ways that you love. And then you just do those things. So you know what? You never waste any time. And it doesn't matter if you do something and no books get bought by people, because you're having a wonderful time no matter what. So you do the things you love, and this is how you reveal to other people about the wonderful messages inside your book. And this way, you never experience what I see many authors experiencing, which is burnout. They get so tired, and it's called promotion. I don't look at it like that. I just look at it as sharing the gifts that you're bringing into the world. And each person is blessed with unique gifts, with unique light, specific hues of light to shine into the world. So if we're here now, we have a special light to shine, and just enjoy doing it. Don't feel any pressure about it. Don't feel I've got to be successful. Success, as Wayne Dyer says, success is an inside job. If you feel gratitude, if you feel joy, expressing and shining your light, that's it. You're a success.
I love that. Because we do almost externalize success. And I guess that brings us back to the question we started the show with. We externalize it, and therefore we're disappointed when it arrives because it's not as good as we thought it was. But that's because we've not done the inner bit to say, actually, what does bring me joy? What is it that I'm grateful for? And one of the things me and my little girl do every day is we start our day with what are we grateful for, and we end our day with what are we grateful for, because it changes your view in the world, doesn't it? It changes how you come up. And I was reading a few months ago now that Warren Buffett had said that every time something goes wrong, he immediately finds 3 things to be grateful for. Because it changes how your brain looks to it. And I had it happened to me last week. The car broke down, and I was on my way to my little girl, and my car broke down, and I immediately tried it, and I was like, aren't I lucky that I've got a car? Wow. Aren't I lucky that I've broken down in a place where I can walk to my little girl? And aren't I lucky at the AA, and therefore someone's going to come and help me out? And it totally changed from being a moment where you could have been sad or angry or frustrated or any of those negative emotions to it's hard to be unhappy when you've just found 3 things to be grateful for.
Oh, this is beautiful. It's so, I love this example. You are a person who has trained your brain to scan for positive patterns. That's what it is. We can all do that. We all have neuroplasticity. no matter where you are right now, you can become a more grateful person. It's about training the brain to scan for positive patterns. When we travel on a road, let's say there's no road, it's just gravel. It is very awkward and it's very hard to drive. But once we've done it, we put grooves in the pathway, and every subsequent drive becomes easier and easier. That's what we're doing with our brains. We are creating neural pathways. And the more we travel on those pathways, the more we practice gratitude, the easier it becomes to be grateful. Your example was perfect. That's exactly what it's like. So that it happens in little instances in life, and then we transfer it to the big, difficult situations we find ourselves in. And when we have that training, when we've trained our brain, we can calm down more in the difficult situations. We'll still feel the pain. We'll still be disoriented by what's going on, but we can get to a place of equilibrium much faster the more we train our brains to scan for these positive patterns.
I love that. It's so true, because we created the other patterns by repeating them, didn't we? I often say to my little girl, the thing we have to remember is that we are the gardener of our own mind. And therefore, just like any other garden, if you go out and you see a weed, you dig it up and you get rid of it. So for me, weeds are those thoughts that don't make me feel fulfilled, that don't make me feel joyful, that don't make me feel grateful. So I don't want them in there. I'd like to take those out. And I'd like to place a positive thought in there, a positive flower, and plant that instead. And to your point with your analogy of like when we're driving, every time we repeat the positive message, we water the flower, don't we? We allow the garden to grow.
Absolutely beautiful. One of my books, here it is. One of my books is called Don't Read This Book. It's written in the voice of, every single person has a voice inside their heads that's trying to get them to be miserable from morning till night. So you're counteracting that voice. You're aware of it, and you're waking up with thank you. You're going to bed with thank you with your little girl, because you recognize every single one of us, and we all think we're the only ones with this voice. But what the voice is telling us is, and it's specific for each one. Each of us has our own personal trainer. So it knows where our weaknesses are. And it's telling us, you are missing this. You are lacking that. It tries to get us to focus on what we're missing. And when we recognize that, and when we recognize we all have that voice, so the minute we start feeling miserable, we say, oh my goodness, why am I feeling miserable? There's something telling me I'm focusing on what I'm lacking. That's what you did. Your car wasn't working. It's a miserable feeling. And you realize that, wait a minute, I'm going to focus on what I already have. I have a car. It's just not working right now. I live close to my daughter's school. I can walk there. That was an amazing shift, because you've trained yourself to do that. All those negative thoughts, it took me 30 years to write this book, because I had the title. I had most of the book written, but I didn't have the wisdom to complete the book, which is the surprise ending, is that voice is a personal trainer designed for you. It really doesn't want you to listen to it. It wants you, like a barbell, to push it off, push it away. And that's how we grow our gratitude muscle. Say, no, I'm not going to think about what I'm missing. I'm not going to think about what I'm lacking. I'm going to think about that I do have a car that's working, that I live close to the school. And each time you do that, the gratitude muscles grow stronger and stronger. Could you imagine you are teaching your own little girl to learn this early in life? That's what we're trying to do. Spread this around the world. What the world needs is so much more joy.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And to be able to recognize that it comes from in here first. You know, one of the things that I worry about is there's so many distractions in the world now, particularly for children, you know, with technology, with gaming, with the advancements. And actually we try and make sure every single day that we set aside large periods to actually create things the old-fashioned way, like sitting and writing or coloring in, or because it's like we've got to be able to be comfortable to go inside, to be our own best friend. And yet we're busy distracting ourselves from that journey, aren't we, with the things that go around us.
Exactly. What research shows, okay, we have like over 60,000 thoughts a day.
Oh.
More than 80% of those thoughts are negative. And this is the funniest part, or is it funny? But over 95% of those negative thoughts are the exact same thoughts day in, day out. We have repetitive negative thoughts every single day, the same stuff bringing us down. The more we recognize this, we get our power back. Don't let all that negativity rule us. We can get our power back and recognize that we're being swayed or distracted by all these negative thoughts in our lives. The moment we recognize that, it's that moment of recognition that we take our power back. That is one of the most important secrets of life. These are things that we can teach very young children to take their power back so they're not swayed by all the distractions. Why should I watch? Why should I listen to all this negativity? I don't need to. I could be doing all these things. And on my website, people can download like a free chart of the pleasure ladder. I could give you the link for the show notes because it's not out there because somehow somebody hacked in and was downloading millions of copies of it. So we now only give it out, to specific people that want it. So it shows that there's so many ways to be joyful, an infinite amount of ways this very moment. That's what we can choose in those moments when we get distracted. The chart reminds us that we have the ability to bring joy into our lives at any moment. And I saw a cartoon recently, which I thought was so great. It was two creatures, and one creature is holding a jar that says happiness. And the other creature says to the creature holding the jar of happiness, "Where did you find that? I've been searching for it my whole life." And the creature with the jar of happiness says, "I created it myself."
I love that.
It's that simple.
That's amazing. I love that because we do seem to sometimes go through life thinking it's being done to us when in actual fact it's being done for us. And once we see that, and one of the things that I've shared often on this show is I genuinely now believe that everything in life happens for a reason, and that everything is either a lesson, a blessing, or both. So in those moments where I don't feel blessed, I look for the lesson because that's where the blessing is, in the thing that I needed to learn, or in the viewpoint that I needed to shift slightly, to say, well, what can you see, Bracha, that I can't see? Why are you finding this so easy and I'm finding it so hard? So once we get curious about that, then we open ourselves up to creating a different feeling, a different expression that goes with it, don't we?
Exactly. Our brains are search engines, basically, and we have algorithms that feed us exactly what we want to hear. So if we are searching for more negativity, that's what we're going to get. And if we're searching for more positivity, that's what we're going to get. Whatever we get used to, that's what we get more of, just like with the computer. So it's amazing. And we can control this. It's not like the algorithm is out there. The algorithm is in here. we choose the messages that we want to see more of in our life. Isn't that amazing? I don't know, that just gives me such a wonderful feeling of empowerment. We actually have the control over what we see, because this is a quote again that I just discovered like a month ago, which I think is so brilliant. The number of good things in our life depends on our ability to notice them. That's what that says. I'm going to say it again because I love it. The number of good things in our lives depends on our ability to notice them.
Amazing. I love that. That really does nail it, doesn't it? Because the things that we look at grow. It's like the way our brains work. Our subconscious brain is the happiest little helper we'll ever have, but it comes with one significant flaw. It doesn't understand help or harm. So it doesn't understand if what we're saying is something we do want or something that we don't want. So if we go, I don't want to be miserable, I don't want to be this, it hears the action word, miserable. So it filters in all of the things that are going to make us unhappy, because it's trying to take the action. It didn't understand the don't want. It just gets the action. So we have to make sure that what we're focusing on, what we're asking for, is the thing we want. So, and very often, and I'd love to know if you found the same, very often I find that people are writing their goal in the negative. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. Well, actually, it's never going to work because the subconscious brain factors in only the end word and filters that into view for you. So as I say to my little girl all the time, like, what is it you actually want? I know what you don't want, so that's good. We now need to get to what is it you do want, because until we can be really clear on what it is we do want, we can't bring it to us, because our brain is actively filtering out all the opportunities to make it happen.
Fascinating. I never learned this. That was really interesting. So in other words, what you're saying is, it's very important the language that we use within ourselves, speaking with positive terms, because even the negative terms will bring more of that. That's more of the negativity. That is so interesting. Wow, I love that.
Fascinating how the brain works, isn't it? And I love your point that actually it's really empowering once we realize that, once we recognize that we're the ones that are in control.
Exactly.
I will often say to Scarlett, the one thing we absolutely cannot control is how somebody is going to behave towards us. We can't control that, but we can control our response, and our response is the only thing we own. So irrelevant of what's going on, we get to choose how we're going to respond. And if once you stop giving away your power to how the other person treated you, and take the power back to how you choose to respond, you can alter the entire dynamic, can't you?
Beautiful, beautifully expressed. Exactly. I'll tell you about one of my books. This is a new book, but an old book. It was published many years ago by a mainstream publisher, and now we took back the publishing rights and just republished it. But what it is it's a very simple story about a boy. He's never happy with anything he gets. And when his parents get a new washing machine, he's like, I get nothing. And then his father comes up with the idea. He says, this box, it was the box that the washing machine came in. He says, it's a really special box. It's a happiness box. You can only think happy thoughts inside this box when you go inside it. So he's like, how am I going to do that? But he gives it a try. First, he has a hard time coming up with anything he's happy about, but he gets used to it. He gets in the habit. He keeps practicing being grateful for different things. And then whenever he's feeling miserable, he goes back in the box and gets happy again. One day, he's far away from the box. How am I going to get happy? What am I going to do? And that's when he realizes the happiness box is always with us if we want it to be. It's above our eyes, below our hair. There's a happiness box if we let it be. So, and I go, and if you're scared to use your head, just get a cardboard box instead. So that's what children have been doing. In the back of the book, it explains, you just go to like an appliance store where they have lots of boxes in the back to give away, and you build your happiness box, and you go inside it and you practice in there until you realize you always have the happiness box with you to go inside and practice. So these are the most important skills that aren't readily taught in schools, but this is what children need to learn just as early in life as possible. And we can all learn it at any point because of neuroplasticity. We can all become more grateful and therefore more joyful people.
I love that. Sorry, it made me smile with the happiness box, because it took me to a moment a few years ago where we ended up with this massive cardboard box, and my little girl, who was probably about 4 at the time, and her friend was literally uninterested in what came out of the box. It was actually a toy, and spent an hour and a half giggling hysterically at putting themselves in the box and then bursting out as Jack.
Yes.
And I just had that vision then of like, they create that joy. They just use their imagination. And I think it's one of those things that is so missing in kind of how we're bringing children up, is the importance of curiosity, the importance of creativity, and that actually using your imagination is a good thing. It's nice to imagine something. It's nice to be able to think about what might that be. It's like my little girl, when she goes to bed every night, we go through a different one of the islands that she might go and visit in her dream. So she might go to Mystery Island, or she might go to Grateful Island, or she might go to Rainbow. It wasn't really much which it is, but we'll talk about it like every night and go, well, where do you want to go on your travels tonight? Where are you and your Teddy's, where are you off to? And then in the morning she'll tell me about her adventure, what she went on, what she learned. But it's like, actually, I'm really hoping that I can help her do, and that's why I love your books, is help her understand that actually we control this, and therefore if we don't like what it's bringing us, we need to change the story we're telling ourselves, because we tell ourselves that we see in our reality, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. And in the pleasure ladder, like you mentioned, creativity is actually the second highest level of pleasure. It brings us so much pleasure to put the unique gifts within us out into the world with gratitude. Again, if once the ego gets involved, then we're afraid of failing, we're focused on success. But if we're just giving because we have these gifts, because the energy is flowing through the universe and we are channeling it, that's it. That is the secret. And that's how the gratitude is what changes everything. It's also what changes creativity into a complete wellspring of joy. I say that to climb the pleasure ladder, there's only one price to pay, and that's gratitude for every single level, because that is what transforms the experience from just being a sensual pleasure into also being a spiritual pleasure that really nourishes our hungry soul. And that had to do with why I had the eating disorders, because nothing was enough. I was always hungry. And so I was acting it out symptomatically, physically, with an addiction. We are trying desperately to fill the hole within us with externalities, whatever the addiction is. It could be food, it could be drugs, it could be shopping, whatever it is. And it never fills the hole, because like after the whole container of ice cream is gone, you're left feeling emptier than the container. It never fills the hole because it's not a physical hole. It's a spiritual hole. And the only thing that fills it is gratitude. And as you go up the pleasure ladder, you are filled with more lasting pleasure and more connection. Because when a person is in a state of addiction, they feel estranged, alone. They feel lonely. They feel alienated, and self-centered too. Completely focused on oneself. Each level up brings more connection and more lasting pleasure.
I love that. I love that actually it's you've created something that is visual, because lots of people that's how they work. But also it's in steps. Because we sometimes it can be so overwhelming, can't it? Well, I'm here and I want to think the complete opposite that's over there, but how on earth do I get from here to there? And actually, because the ladder's steps, you can just go to the level that you are comfortable with today and then keep going, can't you?
Yes, this moment, exactly. Because you could be at a different place the next moment. But truth is, I didn't come up with this chart at all. This is ancient mystical wisdom. I just learned it. And the moment I learned it, I absorbed it. And gradually through the years, I integrated it. It's definitely not coming from me. I just created the chart so it's very accessible to everybody. But I learned it years ago, and it's ancient, timeless wisdom that's available to all of us. So it has to do with, our 5 fingers remind us that we have the power within our own hands to bring joy into our lives. The power is right here, and the pleasure ladder does consist of 5 levels. So our hands remind us of that, but also it corresponds to the 5 levels of the soul. And the lowest level of the soul is the part that's attached to the body. So the lowest level on the pleasure ladder are all the natural physical pleasures in the world that were designed to bring us pleasure when we experience them with gratitude. That's the important point. So it's all the natural foods, spending time in nature, moving our bodies, the joy that we get from swimming, dancing, gardening, whatever we're doing, music, all these natural pleasures in the world were designed to bring us joy once we experience them with gratitude. That's the step I didn't know about, and that's what changed my life. Because at one point, when you have an addiction, it takes all the joy out of life, and my world became very narrow. It feels like a prison. Addictions use up your energy. They use up your mind. They just take over you. And what's strange about an addiction is like it's a prison where the locks are on the inside, not on the outside. You can get out, but you don't know how to unlock the door. Once you know how, once you are able to fill your life up with gratitude, you can break out of the prison.
Amazing. Bracha, I could talk to you all day, but I'm conscious that we are running out of time. So before we go, I would love for us to just pull up your website so that people can see how they can get in touch with you. Obviously, we will share it also in the show notes, but it's Growing Impact Publications. And you can see your new book there. So My Special Body, and also all your other books are available, and some amazing resources. I love the podcast that's on there. So if you've enjoyed today's show and you want to find out more, please do go and connect with Bracha, and you can see that in the notes below. Bracha, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your joy with all of us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And to everybody listening and watching, I hope you found today's show as inspiring and thought-provoking as I have. And until next time, take care.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.